Take a moment to think about this. We touch it almost every single day. Notes, letters, books, receipts, even banknotes. Paper is absolutely everywhere, but we almost never give it a second thought. But what if it just disappeared? Imagine a world with no paper. No books lining the shelves of libraries, no notebooks to jot down ideas, no letters connecting people across vast distances. How would we communicate, store knowledge, or share our thoughts? It seems impossible, right? And yet, paper wasn't always the smooth, white sheet we know today. Its history is a fascinating story of chance, incredible invention, and human ingenuity. It's the story of how simple plant fibers, water, and a whole lot of patience changed the world forever. Ready to unfold this history? Let's dive in. Our story begins in ancient China, around the 2nd century CE. This is where one man, an official at the imperial court named Lun, would change how humanity records and shares information forever. His job involved managing administrative affairs, and he was looking for a better way to do it. At the time, records were kept on heavy bamboo strips or expensive rolls of silk. Neither was very practical. So Lun came up with an idea that seemed simple but was actually a stroke of genius. He took various fibrous materials, things like old cloth scraps, fishing nets, hemp fibers, and tree bark, and his process was surprisingly modern. He soaked these materials in water, beat them into a pulp, and then spread this slurry thinly on frames to dry into sheets. The result was a material that was lightweight, flexible, and easy to write on. It was a game changer. Compared to bamboo or silk, paper was much cheaper and faster to produce. At first, this amazing invention didn't travel far beyond China. It was mainly used by the imperial administration for official documents and record-keeping. But soon, its practicality caught on. Scholars, artists, and merchants began to adopt it. Early forms of printing, using characters carved into wood blocks, also appeared, making paper even more essential. Now, the paper Lun invented didn't look like the paper in your printer today. It was thicker, sometimes a bit uneven, and you could often see the fibers within it, but its impact was revolutionary. It transformed education, government, trade, and culture. It provided a medium to store thoughts, recipes, poems, scientific knowledge, and laws in a way that was durable, portable, and accessible. From China, paper began its slow journey westward, carried by trade caravans along the legendary Silk Road. With each step, it brought not just the material itself, but the knowledge of how to make it. This was the beginning of paper's journey to becoming an everyday object for millions around the globe, all starting with one official's quest for a better way to keep records. After its invention in China, paper's influence started to ripple outwards. First, it spread to neighboring East Asian countries like Korea, Japan, and Vietnam. In each place, the production techniques were studied and refined, often with a unique local twist. In Japan, for instance, artisans used fibers from the mulberry tree to create incredibly strong yet thin paper, perfect for the delicate art of calligraphy and woodblock prints. But the next major breakthrough happened when paper reached the Middle East in the 7th and 8th centuries. The Arab world, a vibrant center of science and culture, quickly recognized its incredible potential. In cities like Baghdad, the first paper workshops outside of Asia were established. Arab scholars and artisans didn't just copy the Chinese methods. They innovated. They developed better sieves, bleaching techniques, and ways to smooth the paper, significantly improving its quality. From the Middle East, paper began a long and adventurous journey into Europe. It first arrived as a curiosity, brought by merchants and monks traveling through Spain and Sicily regions with strong ties to the Arab world. The first European paper mills finally appeared in the 13th century, first in Spain and then Italy. Initially, this new material was used for practical things like record-keeping, business accounts, and religious manuscripts. But paper didn't immediately take over. For centuries, Europe had relied on parchment, a durable but very expensive writing material made from animal skin. At first, paper was seen as a cheaper, less prestigious alternative. But its advantages were undeniable. It was easier to produce, you could make a lot of it quickly, and writing on it was a breeze. Slowly but surely, practicality won out. Then, in the 15th century, everything changed. A man named Johannes Gutenberg invented the movable type printing press. This was the moment paper had been waiting for. Suddenly, it became the key ingredient in a full-blown information revolution. Books, which had been rare and expensive luxuries handwritten by scribes, could now be printed in massive quantities. They became accessible to a much broader population. Libraries expanded at an incredible rate, and knowledge began to spread faster than ever before. Information was no longer the exclusive property of a select few. It's amazing to think about how paper evolved over the centuries. It transformed from a humble, coarse material made in a Chinese workshop into the smooth, uniform sheets we use for everything today, from printing books and writing letters to packaging our goods and even creating currency. It was a journey that reshaped societies and powered the spread of ideas across the entire planet. But before paper took over the world, what did people write on? For thousands of years, two main materials dominated: papyrus and parchment. Each played a crucial role in history, but their limitations ultimately created the need for something better. Let's start with papyrus. This was one of the earliest writing surfaces, invented in ancient Egypt. It was made from the pith of the papyrus plant, which grew abundantly along the Nile River. Workers would cut the pith into thin strips, layer them crosswise, press them together, and let them dry into flat sheets. Papyrus was relatively lightweight and could be rolled into scrolls, which made it easy to store. It was the backbone of administration, literature, and science in ancient Egypt, and later in Greece and Rome. However, papyrus had some serious drawbacks. It was fragile and very sensitive to moisture. In damp climates, it would quickly rot and fall apart. That's why so many ancient documents have been lost forever, and the ones that survive are priceless archaeological treasures. Then there was parchment. Made from treated animal skins, usually from sheep, goats, or calves, parchment was a huge step up in terms of durability. It was much stronger than papyrus and could even be scraped clean and reused. Parchment sheets were often sewn together to create the first books, known as codices. But its durability came at a high price. Producing parchment was incredibly labor-intensive and expensive. The process involved carefully removing hair and fat from the skin and repeatedly smoothing the surface. Because of this, parchment was a luxury item, used mainly by churches, monasteries, and royal courts for important religious texts and official documents. Both papyrus and parchment were vital. They allowed ancient and medieval societies to record their histories, laws, and knowledge. But neither could meet the growing demand for a cheap, plentiful writing material. They were expensive, difficult to produce in large quantities, and their cost limited access to information to a wealthy and educated elite. When paper finally arrived in Europe, it was a revolution. It was cheaper, easier to mass produce, and incredibly versatile. It democratized information, breaking down the barriers that had kept knowledge in the hands of a few. Paper didn't just replace papyrus and parchment. It created a new world, a world where ideas could spread like wildfire, powering the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the scientific age. The paper production we know today largely relies on the wood of coniferous and deciduous trees. This material, due to its availability and fibrous properties, became the foundation of the paper industry, changing the way humans create and store information. Coniferous trees like pines, spruces, and firs are the heavy lifters of the paper world. They provide long, strong fibers that give paper its strength and flexibility. Think of these fibers like long threads weaving together to create a durable fabric. This is why paper made from conifers is perfect for things that need to last: books that get passed around, newspapers that are folded and refolded, and packaging that needs to hold up. The long fibers bind together tightly, preventing pages from tearing easily and helping them keep their shape. On the other hand, we have deciduous trees like oak, birch, or poplar. Their fibers are shorter and softer. Imagine a surface made of very fine, short threads. The result is a smoother, more uniform sheet of paper. This makes it ideal for high-quality printing and writing. The even surface allows ink to sit perfectly, creating crisp text and clear, detailed images. So, when you see a beautifully printed art book or a high-end magazine, it likely has a good amount of hardwood fiber in it. So how do we get from a towering tree to a clean sheet of paper? The process is a blend of brute force and delicate chemistry. First, the wood has to be broken down into a pulp. This can be done mechanically, by grinding it up, or chemically. Chemical methods, like the craft process, are fascinating. They use solutions to dissolve lignin, which is the natural glue that holds wood fibers together and gives wood its rigidity and dark color. Removing the lignin not only makes the paper brighter, but also much more durable, preventing it from yellowing and becoming brittle over time. Once you have this slushy, fibrous pulp, it's mixed with a lot of water. Depending on the desired outcome, manufacturers might add fillers to make the paper smoother or bleaching agents to make it whiter. This mixture is then spread out on large screens, where the water drains away, leaving a mat of tangled fibers. Finally, this mat is pressed and dried, transforming it into the familiar sheets of paper we use. Every single step, from the choice of wood to the chemical process, is carefully controlled to determine the paper's final feel, its thickness, smoothness, strength, and color. Of course, the choice of wood isn't just about the paper's quality. It has huge economic and ecological implications. Conifers grow relatively quickly, which makes them a cost-effective and renewable source for pulp. Deciduous hardwoods grow more slowly, but they produce that premium, high-quality paper. To get the best of both worlds, modern paper mills often create a custom blend. They mix the long, strong fibers from conifers with the short, smooth fibers from hardwoods. This creates a versatile paper that's strong enough for everyday use but also smooth enough for great printing. It's this clever engineering that has made paper so adaptable, giving us everything from sturdy cardboard boxes to the delicate pages of a novel. But let's rewind the clock. Before wood became the king of paper, what did people use? For centuries, our ancestors made paper from a variety of fibrous plants, and some of them produced sheets so durable they've survived for thousands of years. The original superstars of paper were hemp, flax, and cotton. Hemp, for instance, was one of the very first materials used for papermaking, starting in ancient China. Its fibers are incredibly long and strong, creating paper that is unbelievably resistant to damage. Many ancient documents, maps, and early printed books in Europe were made from hemp paper, which is why they still exist for us to study today. Then there was flax, the same plant that gives us linen. Flax fibers are also strong and flexible, but they create a paper that is exceptionally smooth. This made it perfect for handwritten manuscripts and official documents in medieval Europe. Scribes in monasteries and clerks in royal courts prized linen paper because their ink wouldn't bleed, and the documents would last for generations. It was the premium choice for anything that needed to be preserved. Cotton entered the scene a bit later, but quickly became a favorite. Its fibers are softer, creating paper that is supple and has a luxurious feel. Cotton paper absorbs ink beautifully, which is why it was perfect for printing books and, very importantly, banknotes. Even today, the highest quality paper is still made from cotton. Think about important government documents, certificates, or that fancy, expensive stationery. That's often 100% cotton paper, chosen for its prestige and durability. What do all these plants, hemp, flax, and cotton have in common? They all possess long, strong fibers that are easy to separate and turn into pulp. This gave early paper its incredible longevity. And in many ways, making paper from these plants was more sustainable. They grew much faster than trees, could be cultivated in fields, and didn't require clearing entire forests. As a result, paper became more accessible, fueling the spread of knowledge, trade, and culture across the world. So whether it comes from a pine tree, an oak tree, or a cotton plant, the secret to a great sheet of paper lies in its fibers. The length of the fiber is the single most important factor. Long fibers, like those from conifers and hemp, interlock to form a strong, resilient web. This is what gives paper its structural integrity. It's why you can fold a map multiple times without it falling apart, and why library books can withstand being handled by hundreds of readers. Paper made from long fibers is built to last. Short fibers, from hardwoods or cotton, are all about the surface. They create a dense, smooth canvas that is perfect for capturing fine details. The ink doesn't feather, and images look sharp and vibrant. This paper is less about raw strength and more about aesthetic perfection. It's a trade-off. You get a beautiful printing surface, but the paper itself is mechanically weaker and will wear out faster with heavy use. This is why the art of papermaking is really about creating the perfect recipe. By blending different types of fibers, manufacturers can tailor the paper for its intended use. They can create a material that's strong but also smooth, affordable, but also high quality. The quality of the fibers also affects everything else, from the paper's brightness to its absorbency. Clean, well-processed fibers result in a uniform, bright white sheet. Impurities or shorter, broken fibers can lead to discoloration and printing problems. At its core, fiber is the heart and soul of paper. It dictates whether a sheet will be tough and rugged or delicate and smooth. It defines its purpose. So the next time you pick up a piece of paper, take a closer look. What feels like a simple, ordinary object is actually a masterpiece of natural engineering, the result of centuries of craftsmanship and a deep understanding of the humble fiber. The first step in paper production begins with breaking down fibers. Whether it's from a sturdy tree log, a stalk of hemp, or a stack of old newspapers, the goal is the same. We need to separate these fibers and turn them into something called pulp. Think of pulp as a thick, pliable, soupy mass. This is where the magic begins, turning a solid substance into a form that's ready to become paper. So how do we break down these fibers? If we're starting with wood, there are two main methods, mechanical and chemical. The mechanical way is pretty straightforward. Wood logs are ground between huge rotating rollers, which physically tears the fibers apart. This creates fibers of all different lengths. The chemical method is a bit more sophisticated. Processes like the sulfite or the craft process use chemicals to dissolve lignin. What's lignin? It's the natural glue that holds wood fibers together. By removing it, the fibers become more flexible, and the resulting paper is brighter and much more durable. Now, what about other plants like hemp, flax, or cotton? The approach is a little different. First, the plant fibers are soaked in water. Then, they're separated either by machines or sometimes even by hand until they form a nice, uniform fibrous mass. And of course, there's recycled paper. To turn old paper back into new, the sheets are soaked in water, ripped back into individual fibers, and thoroughly cleaned. This gets rid of all the unwanted stuff like staples, bits of plastic, and old printing ink. Once the fibers are broken down, they all end up in the same place, the pulp. Here, they're mixed with a lot of water and some special additives. These can be fillers to add bulk, bleaching agents to make the paper white, or compounds that help ink stick to the surface better. The pulp becomes a thick, watery suspension with all these fibers floating around, just waiting to be turned into a sheet. This stage is incredibly important because the type and length of the fibers determine the final paper's strength, smoothness, and flexibility. This is also the point where we can start customizing the paper. Want to make it stronger? Add some synthetic fibers. Want colored paper? Add some dyes. Need it to be more resistant to moisture or last for centuries in an archive? There are additives for that too. Every single decision made here will define what the paper becomes. Will it be newsprint, your standard office paper, fancy art paper, or even the special paper used for banknotes? The transformation has begun. The raw material is no longer just a plant or old paper. It's now a malleable substance, ready for the next exciting steps. Okay, so we have our soupy, fibrous pulp ready to go. What's next? This is where the liquid starts turning into something you can actually hold, sheet forming and pressing. This is the moment when that chaotic suspension of fibers transforms into a durable, cohesive sheet that we can write on, print on, and use. The process of forming the sheet happens on special screens. Imagine pouring the pulp onto a giant, fine mesh. The water drains through the holes in the screen, but the fibers get left behind. As the water disappears, the fibers start to interlace and lock together, forming a thin but surprisingly strong layer. This is an incredibly precise part of the process. The density of the fibers, how evenly they're spread out, and the amount of water left all determine the paper's final thickness, stiffness, and smoothness. It's the moment that a jumble of fibers becomes an organized structure where each fiber has a role to play. After this initial sheet is formed, it's still very wet and fragile, so it moves on to the presses. Here, the damp sheets are squeezed under high pressure. This has a few key benefits. First, it squeezes out a lot more of the water. Second, it compacts the fibers, bonding them even more tightly together. This gives the paper the density and strength it needs. Depending on the type of paper being made, this pressing can happen between massive steel rollers or in specialized flat presses. Each method gives a slightly different final effect. With most of the water pressed out, the paper is ready for the drying phase. The long sheets are guided through a series of heated rollers, or sometimes just air-dried until they reach the perfect moisture level. This is critical. If the paper is too wet, it will wrinkle and be useless for printing. But if it's too dry, it can become brittle and break easily. It's a delicate balance. During this stage, manufacturers can also make the surface even smoother through a process called calendaring. This involves passing the sheets between highly polished rollers to give them a perfectly even and smooth texture. So the forming and pressing stages are where the raw material truly becomes a finished product. It's where the paper gains its strength, smoothness, and functional properties. Every single step, from the amount of water in the pulp to the exact pressure used in the presses, influences the character of the final sheet. It's what decides if the paper will end up as a newspaper, a page in your notebook, a formal letter, or a high-quality art canvas. Thanks to these intricate processes, paper gets the familiar form that we can touch, see, and interact with in countless ways every day. We formed, pressed, and dried our paper, but it's not quite ready for the world yet. Now we enter the final and perhaps most transformative stage, finishing. This is where the paper gets its final look and feel, making it smooth, durable, and perfectly suited for its specific job. These processes turn a simple sheet of fibers into an aesthetically pleasing and highly functional material. One of the most important finishing treatments is bleaching. Natural fibers, especially from wood, have a yellowish or brownish tint. But for most uses, we want paper that is bright, white, and uniform. Bleaching removes any leftover lignin and other impurities, which lightens the fibers. In the past, chlorine was commonly used, but this had a heavy environmental impact. Today, the industry is increasingly using more eco-friendly methods, like oxygen or hydrogen peroxide bleaching, which are much kinder to our planet. Next up is that smoothing process we mentioned earlier, calendaring. The sheets are passed through a series of rollers that press and polish the surface. Depending on the rollers and the pressure used, this can give the paper a super glossy shine or a subtle, elegant matte finish. Calendaring makes paper feel pleasant to the touch, and more importantly, it improves how ink is absorbed. This is essential for getting crisp, clear images in magazines, books, and advertising materials. For even higher quality, paper can be coated. This involves applying a thin layer of a substance like kaolin clay, chalk, or special polymers onto the surface. This coating fills in the tiny irregularities between the fibers, making the paper even smoother and increasing its resistance to wear and tear. You'll find coated paper used for glossy color magazines, fancy catalogs, and photographic prints, where image quality and vibrant colors are the top priority. But finishing isn't just about looks, it's also about giving the paper special powers. Paper can be impregnated with substances to make it resistant to moisture, oils, or fats. Think of food packaging. It can be coated to increase its mechanical strength or treated with special additives to improve its durability, making it suitable for archival documents that need to last for centuries. The possibilities are almost endless. Paper can be scented, given a metallic sheen, perforated for easy tearing, or embossed with beautiful decorative patterns. It all depends on what the paper is destined to become. Thanks to all these finishing processes, a simple sheet of tangled fibers transforms into a material with incredibly specific properties. It becomes strong, beautiful, and practical. The paper in your favorite book, the newspaper you read this morning, the banknotes in your wallet, or the packaging on your food is no longer just a mass of fibers. It's the result of a complex, carefully controlled process where every single step, from the choice of raw material to the final coating, determines the quality and purpose of the final product we all rely on. Today, there are so many types of paper that virtually every type can be tailored to specific needs. So let's start with the basics. There are countless types of paper, and each one is engineered for a specific job. Think about the paper in your home or office. It's got a smooth surface, it's strong enough for printers and copiers, and it's perfect for jotting down notes. This everyday hero is usually made from wood pulp or a mix of virgin fibers and recycled paper. That's what makes it affordable and reliable for our daily tasks, coming in different weights for everything from quick printouts to important reports. Now let's level up to printing paper. If you've ever picked up a glossy magazine or a high-quality book, you've felt the difference. This paper is smoother and stronger than your standard office variety. It can be matte or coated, which completely changes how colors and images pop. Coated paper, for instance, has a thin layer of chalk or kaolin that creates an incredibly smooth surface. This is why photos in catalogs and art books look so crisp and vibrant. It's all about giving ink the perfect canvas to shine. But what about the artists? For them, there's art paper. This isn't your average ream of A4. We're talking about handmade or mold-made paper crafted with incredible care. Each sheet can have a unique texture and exceptional durability, making it ideal for watercolors, drawing, or printmaking. This category also includes specialty papers that might be thick textured or colored right in the pulp, giving artists the freedom to bring their most demanding visions to life. Then there's the high-tech side of paper technical paper. This is the stuff used in industry, engineering, and science. You've seen it as thermal paper spitting out of a cash register, as filter paper in a lab, or as the super smooth, tear-resistant paper used for architectural blueprints. These papers are designed to be tough, precise, and reliable under extreme conditions, and of course we can't forget recycled paper. This is paper on its second, third, or even fourth life. Its quality can vary, but modern technology has made it a fantastic option for everything from newspapers and notebooks to high-quality office paper. It's a powerful symbol of sustainability, and the process behind it is pretty fascinating. The environmental benefits are huge. Recycling reduces the need to cut down trees, which helps preserve our forests and lower CO2 emissions. It also saves a massive amount of energy and water compared to making paper from scratch, and keeps tons of waste out of landfills. Every single piece of recycled paper we use makes a difference, turning a single-use item into a renewable resource. But paper's impact goes far beyond its practical uses. It has literally shaped human history and culture. For thousands of years, from ancient China to modern societies, paper has been the foundation for science, art, and communication. Without it, our world would look completely different. Just think about the invention of the printing press. Before paper was widely available in Europe, books were handwritten manuscripts, incredibly expensive and rare. But when Gutenberg's press met affordable paper in the 15th century, it sparked a revolution. Suddenly, books could be mass-produced. Knowledge that was once locked away in monasteries and palaces began to spread to schools, universities, and ordinary homes. This fueled the Renaissance, the Reformation, and the scientific revolution, all because information could travel farther and faster than ever before. Paper also transformed education. Students could take notes, teachers could create textbooks, and scientists could document their discoveries. Libraries and archives could store vast amounts of information, allowing knowledge to be passed down and built upon through generations. Modern science and education quite literally grew on stacks of paper. And let's not forget the artistic and cultural influence, especially in Asia. In China, Japan, and Korea, paper wasn't just for writing. It was an art form. Calligraphy became a master craft, where the quality of the paper was just as important as the ink and the brush. Delicate rice paper became the basis for painting, and the beautiful art of origami, proving that this humble material could inspire incredible creativity. Paper was used for everything from lanterns and fans to beautiful decorations, blending function with pure aesthetic beauty. Finally, paper was the engine of administration. Governments in ancient China and later across the globe relied on it to record laws, taxes, and official documents. Imagine trying to run a country using stone tablets or clay. Paper made bureaucracy possible, allowing for clear, durable, and scalable systems of governance. Letters, diplomatic notes, and business contracts could be sent, copied, and archived with ease, connecting the world in a way that was previously unimaginable. Although paper production has been incredibly important for civilization, it also presents significant environmental challenges. Paper production, as vital as it's been for civilization, has a dark side. The main ingredient, wood, is harvested on a massive scale. Every time a tree is cut down, it's not just a tree we lose. We lose a home for hundreds of species. We weaken our planet's ability to absorb carbon dioxide, and we disrupt delicate ecosystems. On top of that, making paper uses huge amounts of water and energy. The chemical bleaching process, if not handled perfectly, can pollute our rivers and soil. It's a heavy environmental price to pay for our notebooks and printouts. But here's where the story gets hopeful. The paper industry is waking up and undergoing a green revolution. One of the biggest trends is the rise of eco-friendly paper. This isn't just one thing. It's a whole new way of thinking. It includes paper made from wood, but only from forests that are managed sustainably. Think of it like responsible farming, but for trees. This is where certifications like the FSC, or Forest Stewardship Council, come in. When you see that FSC logo, it's a guarantee. It means the wood came from a forest where harvesting is controlled, wildlife is protected, and the rights of workers and local communities are respected. It's your way of knowing that your purchase supports healthy forests, not their destruction. But what if we could make paper without cutting down trees at all? Well, we can. The industry is getting creative with alternative fibers. We're talking about paper made from leftover agricultural waste like straw and sugarcane stalks. Even plants like hemp, flax, and bamboo are stepping up. These alternatives often grow much faster than trees and require fewer resources, like water and pesticides. And let's not forget about recycling. Every time we recycle paper, we're giving those fibers another life, reducing the need to harvest new materials. In some places, they're turning things like leaves and crop residue into paper, creating a product that's almost completely renewable. It's a brilliant example of a circular economy in action. The innovation doesn't stop with the materials. The factories themselves, the paper mills, are getting a high-tech, eco-friendly makeover. Modern mills are now designed to be incredibly efficient. They're implementing closed-loop water systems to recover and reuse water, cutting down on chemical use and even generating their own energy by burning waste wood. Automation and smart optimization are slashing CO2 emissions. It all proves that with conscious effort and the right technology, the paper industry doesn't have to be an enemy of nature. It can operate in harmony with it, blending tradition with a deep respect for our planet. Now you might be thinking, this is all great, but isn't paper dying out anyway? With our lives moving online, with ebooks and digital documents everywhere, it's a fair question. It might seem like paper's days are numbered. Offices are going paperless, students are using tablets, and entire libraries fit in our pockets. But here's the twist. Paper isn't disappearing, it's evolving. Experience has shown us that paper offers something our screens can't quite replicate. It's the tangibility, the feeling of holding a book or a letter in your hands. It's the comfort of reading without blue light straining your eyes. And believe it or not, studies have repeatedly shown that we actually remember information better and concentrate more when we read it on paper. Paper and pixels aren't enemies. They're becoming partners, each playing to its strengths in our work, our education, and our art, and this is where it gets really futuristic. Technology is giving paper superpowers. Imagine paper that's waterproof and tear-resistant, perfect for trail maps on a rainy hike or durable instructions on a construction site. Or how about biodegradable paper that completely decomposes, creating eco-friendly packaging and party decorations that leave no trace behind? We even have electronic paper, a mind-bending hybrid of a physical sheet and a digital screen. It can display information using almost no energy, all while looking and feeling like a regular piece of paper. Paper is no longer just a passive surface for ink. It's becoming interactive, intelligent, and dynamic. This reinvention is sparking a massive wave of creativity. Designers, artists, and engineers are rediscovering paper as an incredible ecological material. They're creating everything from stunning, eco-friendly packaging to breathtaking art installations and complex architectural models. Paper's versatility allows it to be both practical and deeply inspiring. By combining recycled fibers with modern coating techniques, paper is meeting our contemporary demands for both beauty and sustainability. The future of paper isn't a battle against the digital world. It's a synergy. It's about offering those tactile, artistic, and ecological experiences that screens alone simply can't provide. Paper is bridging its thousands of years of history with a future where innovation and environmental care go hand in hand. So let's zoom out and appreciate just how incredible paper truly is. The oldest surviving piece of paper comes from ancient China, dated all the way back to the 2nd century BCE. That's over 2,000 years ago. This ancient scrap proves that paper was built to last, a durable medium for preserving knowledge. In the dry climate of Egypt, documents written on paper made from plant fibers have survived for millennia. Think about that. This humble material can outlast many of our modern digital storage devices. It's a true time capsule. And just like any other craft, there's a luxury market. Some handmade papers, colored with natural pigments and boasting an incredibly smooth finish, can cost thousands of dollars for a single sheet. These are used for limited edition art books, exclusive certificates, or works of art where every detail matters. They're a testament to the timeless appeal of true craftsmanship. This versatility has always inspired artists. Think of origami, the Japanese art of turning a flat sheet of paper into a complex 3D sculpture. Or papermaking, where simple strips of paper and glue become vibrant sculptures and masks. There's even an art form called quilling, which involves rolling tiny strips of paper into intricate, delicate designs. Artists love paper because they can fold it, sculpt it, tear it, and transform it in endless ways, pushing the boundaries of shape, texture, and form. But the most mind-blowing application of paper? It's literally out of this world. Specialized paper is used in space. Yes, in space. Its lightweight and pliability make it perfect for all sorts of tasks. It's used for storing scientific samples, as a protective or insulating material, and even in biological experiments conducted in microgravity. When you're in space, every gram counts, and sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. From ancient scrolls to space-age science, paper is so much more than what it seems. It's a survivor, a canvas for creativity, and a tool for innovation. It's a silent thread that connects our entire human history. So next time you pick up a piece of paper, take a moment. You're holding a piece of history, a work of art, and a glimpse into a sustainable future.